Hey everyone, thanks for returning. This video, or this series of videos I'm going to do is over a game that I picked up at Gen Con, and I've been kind of going through it, learning the rules and stuff. But this is something I want to kind of break down and do section by section. And so how I'm going to do this is, on the bottom of the screen here, you're going to see what we're covering in this video. And so the game that we're going to be taking a look at is this big box game right here. And I say big box because it's kind of wide, but it's heavy. It's heavy. So it's Folklore, the Afflictioin. And so we're going to take a look at this. So I am going to do a review at the end of all these videos as I go through the rules and the components and character building and yada yada yada. Okay, and so let's take this on the table. Alright, I have the world map open now. This is the little, I guess you call them a meeple that indicates where everyone is. I wish they would actually use like a pawn or something, but I can understand why they use this because of the size of the roads. If it was a bigger map than a pawn, it would probably be better for that. And so there's different locations on this map. The rulebook tells you what those locations are for. Let me flip to that page real quick and I can kind of tell you what the locations are, and I can talk about how traversing through the world map works. Let's see, there's that, there's that, okay. Alright, so this world is called Kreml. It's like a European world, themed world. Kreml, or it's either Kreml or Kreml, I think the proper word is Kreml, is this world. And there's Eurotrusk. And Eurotrusk is right here, this major city. It says, the largest settlement within the land of Kreml, you may take advantage of 3 service locations per visit. And then the Wayland Point, right here, says that a medium-sized settlement, you may take advantage of 2 services per visit. And then there's Ostlink, right here. And it says that a small outpost town in the far north with minimal accommodations, you may take advantage of only 1 service per visit. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So like the services that you can take advantage of. Okay. And so the other locations are the Church of the Crossroads, which is right here at the bottom. That is where the starting point will be for the first story. Then that says that this is the starting location for the initial Folklore, the Afflictioin story. Everything changes. This is also where characters go to learn new abilities and purchase prayer. So the Church of the Crossroads is where you go to get abilities and get prayers. The Alchemist Tower. Let's see if I can find that. I'm guessing this is supposed to be right here. Because it says Alchemist, it doesn't say tower, but it looks like a tower. The Alchemist is a sage whose knowledge amalgamates science and supernatural. Visit his tower for services listed in the story journal and or location reference cards. The Standing Stones, which are up here, says the Standing Stones are a place of ancient power, where fate, time, and space intermingle. No one knows what their exact purpose might have been, but it is possible to remove a tarot card from a character at the Standing Stones by spending 100 coins per tarot card moved. And then there's a Dark Spire and Chasm. So if you notice here on this map, these red borders mean impossible to cross. And so they're like a wall or a river that's unpassable. And I'll explain more about that. But the Dark Spire is surrounded by impassable line. And here's a chasm here. And if you notice, the road stops right where the red line is. And so there's got to be a way in the storybook somewhere that will eventually let you cross the chasm. It says, a large chasm must be crossed in order to pass into the wastes where the Dark Spire lies. This place is isolated and few have dared enter this wasteland. The structure stretches high into the air and is rumored to be full of dark secrets. And then the Bone Isles. Now where did I see that at? Here. Eventually you can take a boat there. And then it says, Bone Isles is the resting place of a multitude of dead. Long ago, townsfolk used this small isle as a tranquil cemetery for their loved ones. Now it is avoided at all costs due to the stories of dead walking freely among the once beautiful tombs and headstones. It costs 5 coins for the group to travel to Bone Isles via ferry. And if you can see here in the picture, there's actually, let me move this map a little bit. There's a little boat here, so the ferry, and then Bone Isles is down here in the corner. Then other adventure locations. Now you are directed to locations such as Elkra Pines and Norian's Hollow from within the story journal. This is where you usually encounter the various afflictions that plague the land. Okay, and so kind of going over how this works. Well, when you guys traverse through the world, it's done by a group, and so the leader at that time will use his stride points, which most of them are 4. So then he would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he would take a road event card. Okay, and then you have the leader token. It's a leader tracker. So there's the daytime and there's the nighttime. The game says, or the rulebook says, that whenever you start a story, you always start in the daytime. Okay, and so then once you stop, you would resolve the event card, and then if I understand the rules correctly, this will get passed to the next player, and they'll flip it over, and then they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 until they get to the location that they want. Well, 4. They do another road event first, and then they get past the next person, then they go on to the location. Okay. If you go from here to here and you want to take the shortcut, well, if you go into off-road, you have to stop. Okay, then you take an off-road card. You'd read it out loud, and then the group would make a choice. The leader would have final say, like I showed in the other video. Okay, and then on the next person's turn, they get this passed to them as the leader, and then they can continue to go 1 onto the road and then finish the path, or they can go 1 and off the road and then do another off-road event. But if you're going to end here, you might as well just go ahead and finish the trail. Okay. And the reason that you have the tracker is because if you look at the event card, the road event card, there's a day and a night. Okay. And then you do either one of those depending on what symbol is shown here, day or night. And so the movements can go road movement only, move up to the leader's stride value. Bridges are considered a road space. Road to off-road, which you only move 1 space. Off-road to off-road, so like let's say I was here and I was going to here. I can move 1 and have to stop. It would not allow me to go another one. So when you're off-road, you only go 1 stride at a time, unless you're going onto a road, and then you can finish out your stride points. And you can also do a resting on the world map. It says once per chapter, the leader may decide to have the group rest. This may be done while on the world map. The leader may not move during this round. All characters recover 4 Vita, 4 power points, and 4 ghost points up to their maximum amount. Then the leader must then draw a road or off-road event. You may not rest on town spaces or in between stories. There are a number of locations, there are a number of town locations on the map, which I already showed you those. And then there's a reference sheet that tells you what town services you can use. And so I'll show you here in the book. And so it shows you the town services, the places, and then what's available. So for Oshlink, you'd only get to pick 1. For Wayland's Point, you get to choose 2. And then for Euro Trusk, you get to pick 3. And they all cost, different services cost. Okay, so like you could have the apothecary, gypsy, caravan, inn, or the chapel. One thing the rules do say is that once you finish a story, you can do things in between a story. Okay, it says playing between stories. Following the story journal makes up the bulk of the experience in Folklore, the Afflictioin. However, there are still things you can do in between stories, such as, but not limited to, the following: travel to the Church of the Crossroads to learn abilities, visit a town and stock up on needed supplies, see the physician about reviving ghost characters, or worse, the gypsies for help drawing an ally back from limbo, going to the Standing Stones to get rid of a tarot card, and play Folklore expansion content such as rumor cards. It says if an event happens between stories that has a keep and play designation, it lasts until the next story starts. All these things may be done during a story, but it may be more convenient to complete them after a story has been finished or before the next begins. Whenever you play between stories, you must still travel the world map in order to reach your desired location, drawing road, off-road events as you go. Okay. Also, the rules state that when you go to a new story, that's the location you start at. And so that doesn't specifically say here in the rules, but the way I would play that is if you're doing things in between stories, I would travel to that location to start the story. And so I wouldn't go from like the Standing Stones to, let's say, Belvar Estate. I think that's how you pronounce it, Belvar Estate. And so instead of going whoop, I would actually make my way to that location and then start the new story. And there are encounter sheets or campaign sheets that you can keep track of your stuff on. And so like the session record sheets, the session record sheet is for tracking a single session of a gameplay. It is recommended to use one sheet per session in case a player misses one. Okay, and then I'll show you those in another video and go through more of that. Oh, actually there's some right here. And so, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard to see on this. You see a current story name, so like that's where they would start off at. Start location, end location, session record sheet, character names, players, trigger story moments. So you can keep track of it in between in case, like I said, if someone missed. And there's the back of it. Encounter skirmish record sheet. So you can keep track of what was fought. Okay? And so that's traversing through the world. So thanks for tuning in. Keep watching. I'm going to keep going through more components of this game. I'll see you guys next time.